I woke up this morning and thought, let's start a great big fight about Liberty safes. Before we discuss this, both sides of the issue, I might add, we have a super secret giveaway going on. It's happening right now. It's absolutely free. Click the link in the description down below to see what you can win. You might put it in your safe. Maybe not a Liberty safe. I don't know. But I'm here with noted criminal defense attorney Tom Grieve, and we're looking at this Liberty safe incident, and I think some of it is manufactured outrage. People want to be mad about something, and they're mad about the fact that Liberty safe will answer a warrant. If a warrant is presented to them, they keep this access to your safe on file. Just in case you lose access to your safe, they can give that back to you, and their policy says they will. But if the police agency gives a warrant to Liberty Safe, they will provide the police agency the ability to access your safe. And the thing I'm thinking about is, if the cops got a warrant, that's a line from a Grateful Dead song. If the cops got a warrant, I guess they're going to come in. And okay, so your safe has to be on the warrant. Warrants have to be very specific. Where they can search, what we can search for, what we're looking for. They're looking in the safe. Liberty Safe has just saved you from the police going to get jacks and timbers and torches and tearing apart your safe completely to get in there to look for it. Yes, I understand that we don't want a company giving access to the police for our guns. But is there some, I don't know, common ground? Is there something that maybe people are missing while they're being angry about this?
I acknowledge, so for those of you who can't tell already, Kevin and I are on slightly different ends of this issue.
Well, I don't know where I stand yet. I just know that a warrant is a legal document that says they're searching a specific place.
Right.
And when we've had warrants, whenever the few times I've done warrants, we're going right to that specific place and we are tearing it apart until we find what we're looking for. So are the cops going to come in and put a pry bar in the door and a hydraulic jack and bring in the jaws of life or whatever it is and destroy your safe to get inside it for what they're looking for?
Well, the short answer is they would have the legal right to do that, even if the warrant was thrown out of court later on. Mm-hmm. In that moment, if they had a properly issued, executed warrant, they're serving in the right time period. If they're dotting all their I's, crossing all their T's, I would 0% take away the fact that they have a legal right to do so. Mm-hmm. Where I come into this is the fact that I don't want a company making that decision for me of, am I going to comply with that or not?
Right.
I want to be the only person making that decision. And
that makes perfect sense to me. I'll look right at the camera. Let me put that out there. That makes perfect sense to me. I'm not defending Liberty Safe. I'm asking the question about what we should do or what we should think about this warrant.
So that's good. So I won't have to fire up the burner account and start trolling you in the comments section. So, which maybe I will anyways.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I'm going to get enough trolling just for even saying, hey, let's think about this.
Let's think about this. Let's talk it through. Let's have a conversation.
Yeah.
So I get your point. Your point fundamentally is, look, if they're going to get in there anyways, let's not damage the safe.
Right.
I think that's fundamentally your point of, and I certainly don't want to put words in your mouth of saying that you're 100% all in with Liberty Safe. You're simply pointing out that, look, this is a little bit more nuanced. If they're going to come in anyways, you may as well have a safe when they're done. Mm-hmm.
That's basically it. And something that I have no experience with, never had anybody try to stop the service of a warrant. So I don't know what happens to them because I've never had to deal with that. It's, here's the warrant. We're either arresting you or we're searching this. And nobody's ever gotten in the way of that. So I haven't had to arrest anyone for obstruction or disorderly conduct or whatever that would be. So what is the cops come to your house and they got a warrant and they say, we're going to look in the safe. And you say, it's locked. You can't get in there. And they break out the hacksaw and the Phillips screwdriver and whatever it is they're going to do. And they start cutting into your safe and you physically try to stop them. What would you charge them with as a prosecutor?
If I'm physically trying to stop them, like I'm going over there and shoving the guy off of it, I mean, that's that's disorderly conduct, that's obstruction, that's potentially battery to law enforcement officer. I mean, like, take your pick. The prosecutor is going to have maybe there's some sort of specific obstruction of a warrant. I mean, check your local listings. Rest assured, there's going to be a potpourri of options of what those prosecutors can go after you for. I am 0% suggesting that you should stop or interfere with the service of a warrant, because there's a 100% chance that would legally end badly for you.
That's not going to go well.
Even if that warrant gets thrown out later for being illegal, improperly executed, whatever. Check your local listings, but there's a very good chance that you can still be convicted and go to jail for interfering with an illegal or unconstitutional warrant. So just pro tip. Okay.
In my perspective, then, so the cops got the warrant for the safe. They can't get into the safe. Maybe they just take the safe with them and try to work on it in their office or whatever. They bring in the movers or whatever it is, getting in there. I guess maybe the bigger question that I don't own a Liberty safe, so I don't, I'm not too worried about what they're doing, but are you doing business with a company that is maintaining your personal private information, that combination, that access to your safe, that now is willing to give that away to somebody else? Maybe that's just maybe the people are right then and just like, forget it. We're not doing business with them anymore. I'm just going to store my Bud Light in the Liberty safe and call it good.
I think, I'm gonna not pick on, but pick at your specific wording, because that's going to be really important to highlight for folks. You said willing to give it over, willing to give the combination over.
Yeah.
We don't exactly know what happened in all this, right? I don't have copies of the warrants that were shown or provided to Liberty, which in response, they provided the combinations and all that kind of stuff. But here's an important distinction to make. Liberty's maintaining, so they're the custodian of the records, right, when it comes to these combinations. That means that if I, as a prosecutor, want to issue a subpoena duces tecum or a warrant or whatever it is called in your particular state to compel, to force Liberty to turn over that combination, they are no longer, this is no longer a question of willingness. This is a matter of compulsion.
Right.
They must now turn over those records, which is one downside to keeping those records, right? So that's one thing. The second thing is that it seems like, and again, I need to make emphatically clear, this is an educated guess, I'm speculating, but based on the careful wording of Liberty's tweets and all that kind of stuff, I suspect this is what has happened, but I don't know. It seems like that's not what happened here. It seems like the cops did not issue and obtain warrants or subpoenas to compel Liberty to turn over the numbers. It seems like the cops had warrants to go into the safe, which meant that Liberty was never forced to turn it over.
Right.
They simply willingly chose to turn it over, and maybe did so against what would have been or were the wishes of the safe's owner.
Yeah, and clearly a public relations disaster. Clearly the wrong way to go with that. I'm looking at this as you said, they could be compelled to do this, and maybe they should put every barrier in the way to make sure that they are compelled, and not just, giving it to Officer Friendly and letting him go and do whatever it is that he wants to do. I also want to make sure that people understand I'm talking about, I'm making the assumption, and maybe wrongly so because I'm a former law enforcement officer, that the warrants were legal. They were very tightly controlled. They were executed properly. They were done within the bounds of the law. And I'm thinking the cops are going to get into that safe. That's their thing. That's what they want to do, and they want to go look in there and see what that is. I also understand you are innocent until proven guilty, but in the course of that investigation, there are some things the police want to look at, and if they got the warrant, they're probably going to get to look at them. I don't know if people should be so angry at Liberty Safe. Again, I say I don't know. I'm not looking at this super closely. As I think about it, I personally wouldn't want any company giving away the combination to my gun room. That's That's why I built it myself. So, all the booby traps and everything that are set up in there. No booby traps. Those are illegal. But this is opening a very big question about cooperation with law enforcement in an area where should they be doing it, and should is so subjective. But to me, it also speaks a lot to the power of our free market. Suddenly, liberty is a pariah. And you know what? That's how the free market works. There's not going to be another gun safe company out there who does this ever. You can see that on all the rest of them. They're like, nope, saw what happened here. I'm not getting involved.
And I think that that's probably part of the reason why people are pissed off is to not only send a message to Liberty, but to anybody else who may be doing this. We just don't know about it, or maybe thinking about doing this. It's tricky because we live in an age where we have major corporations at the national and international level, and let's be honest, they don't really care what I think or you think. And we both exist on YouTube. Like, that's not to say our voices ought to carry more weight, but it is to say that, at least to a degree, our voices, for better or worse, are louder than an average person who doesn't have a platform.
Yeah, we have a little bit of a megaphone.
A little bit of a megaphone. I still don't think they would really care. So the question is, how do you, if you want to move the needle on what the market's doing and what manufacturers are doing, something that has been proven to work beyond lawsuits is this. And I don't know enough to be able to assess and judge whether or not what Liberty was doing was somehow illegal on a civil level. In other words, could they be sued by their owners? I don't know. Not going to wade into those waters without information. But it seems pretty clear that a second way, of course, of checking companies beyond lawsuits is this. It's drawing attention to something that people don't like. For better or worse, it's getting flamed online, and it's being at the heart of a controversy. And I'm not suggesting that in every single case that that's right or wrong, but for better or worse, it does move the needle.
And for me, it's a situation of, if you don't like it, you don't like it. That's your right. And there are millions of people coming together now to say that they don't like it. And again, it comes back to the free market. The question that I was asking and looking for clarity on is this the thing to be mad about? If it is, yes, great, be mad about it. Again, it's a legal warrant. How that warrant gets enforced, holy cow, there's a lot of options in there. They go to your house, they want to look in the safe, you say, go ahead, give it a try, and then you just get to see how tough the Liberty safe is. They're banging on it with the sledgehammer and the crowbar and stuff like that. Or in this case, Liberty just gives them the combination and they pop it open.
I think there's a second reason why people were very upset by this. And that's that I think it just goes to an authenticity issue and an issue of what a lot of people perceive to be, I don't know if I want to use the H word of being hypocritical or hypocrisy, but you have a company where they are very literally in the business of selling security and privacy.
Right.
And then they turn around and give up your security and privacy when we don't even know if they were legally compelled to do so. If you're legally compelled to do so, okay.
Yeah, then you're following the law.
You're following the law. I do have questions about what kind of business practices put you in a position where you're legally obligated to do so. Other companies like Apple figured out a way on how to protect their clients and their customers' confidentiality and their privacy and the confidentiality of records and so forth and their security. I think something that really upset a lot of people was the fact that for a company where this is their stock and trade, and they either didn't care about the fact that they're giving away the privacy and security of their customers, or at a minimum, they didn't care enough to safeguard it against this particular issue. Maybe they misjudged the fact that this could be a problem and people didn't understand it. So this could be it doesn't, maybe they genuinely thought, Kevin, people want us to do this. To your earlier point of, why would we want to lose a safe if they're going to get it anyways, right? Maybe they genuinely thought this, that was obviously, I think, in my estimation, a miscalculation. But I'm sure there are people out there who would say, I would absolutely want them to do this. I am not one of them.
Yeah.
If they're going to blowtorch the hinges off my safe, and I'm convinced because I'm a boring, middle-aged, married guy with kids, there's nothing of excitement or interest they're going to find, and either in my life or in my safe. That's going to be a cool talking point someday. I'll make that into a wall hanger, right? Yeah. Something like that. Maybe you sell it to raise money for legal expenses or something. I don't know. But it's I think there's an authenticity issue, and people have an extremely allergic reaction when it comes to perceived hypocrisy and lack of authenticity.
Yeah, and I think it boils down to the question of whose side are you on? That's what they're asking Liberty Safe. Hey, whose side are you on? And for me, I always want to fall on the side of the gun owner. But I also, I was a law enforcement officer. I also want people to...
We still like you, Kevin.
Yeah, I know. I also want people to follow the law. And I typically look for the good in law enforcement officers. I know there is bad, and I typically look for the good. But yeah, if it comes down to the whose side are you on, great. I will waffle on this one. I will flip-flop to your side. I'm on the side of the gun owner. Yeah.
I will stand down my troll accounts then.
Oh, thank you very much. I'm not out here trying to get you to attack me. I'm out here to just have a discussion and figure out where this is going, because it is a complicated issue. It is something that, and I'm sure there are people out there, it's not complicated. Nobody should look in my gun safe. Well, somebody's coming to look in your gun safe because they had enough evidence to convince a judge that they could narrowly scope their search to your gun safe. So I'm assuming that the investigation was done legally and properly and correctly, and that's the reason they got the warrant for their gun safe. If later on that proved to be false, yes, I want the law enforcement agency sued. I want the individual officers chastised and, letters in the records and fired and whatever it is, because they functioned improperly. They violated their oath and they didn't do the investigation properly. But assuming they did the investigation properly and there's a reason for them to look in the gun safe, I want the cops to look in that gun safe if it is found to be necessary to advance a legal investigation.
Agree to disagree.
Oh, okay. Interesting. So you don't want them to get in there and...
No, I don't want a company making that decision for me.
Oh, right. I don't want the company making the decision for you either.
Right.
I just know that some way, shape, or form, the cops are going to be getting in there. And let's say this then. No, Liberty should not have given them access to the safe. The cops should have to figure it out for themselves. But it's going to make a huge mess.
We're on the same page.
Alrighty.
Thanks, Kevin.
Thank you, Tom. Before you go, you just missed one of our best videos that got over 500,000 views. Click right here to watch it now.